60 minus 50. 60 minus 50 by 5 equals K times 60 plus 50 by 2 minus 30. This is the initial situation. Then again, the second case, this becomes 50 becomes initial, 40 becomes final. So what we have is 50 minus 40 in how much time? Well, I don't know. That's what I want to calculate. Equals K times 50 plus 40 by 2 minus 30. See, now you can easily calculate without a scientific calculator and do that. So you can find out this value. Do 1 divided by 2 and tell me what do you get. This is your answer. Approximately how much? Yeah, you get 25 by 3 seconds. By 25 by 3 minutes, sorry. 8.33 minutes. That's it. Previously we had got 8.55. It's 33, and that's okay. It saves us. We can do it very easily without using a scientific calculator. That's the advantage. So we'll take this up as one of the formulae for Newton's law of cooling. Okay. Here are the answers for it. 1D, 2B, 3A, 4C, 5B, 6D, 7B, 8B, 9B, 10A, 11AC, 12B, 13AB, 14ABCD, ABCD, 15D. Rather, let's start from the 15th question. Yeah, what's the problem with the 15th question? As I told you, you have to see two things. As the temperature increases, the mountain goes higher, and the peak of the mountain should shift to the left. That's Wayne's displacement law. So based on that, both B and C seem to be correct. The mountain has shifted to the left, but the C problem is the mountain is not becoming clearly bigger. See, it is cutting through the mountain. If you consider this wavelength, at a higher temperature it is having less energy than the see, T2 is greater than T1, and then still this energy seems to be less than that. So this part is wrong in the C.
But in the B part, the two graphs cannot meet.
Sir, the two graphs meet. How can they meet?
They shouldn't meet.
Don't get into that. That meeting, that is at a higher wavelength. It is almost like merging. That's okay. That value is coming out to be almost 0. That means at a higher wavelength you don't have much representation.
But
So
at
the lower one,
they cannot meet.
So in the 14th,
The same thing you can have at the lower end also. It is like that negligible representation is there.
So, but then in the 14th A part, which is right, sir, that contradicts this.
Which one?
So then in the 14th A part, the intensity of radiation for every wavelength increases. So then that contradicts this. That they can meet.
No. It is not that problem. In the 14th A part, the peak is same for higher temperature also. If the peak had been shifted to the left, then it would be right.
So I'm saying that
Peak cannot come on the same line. As temperature increases, lambda m decreases. That's the idea. As T increases, this decreases.
This is right and this is right.
Okay, let's move on. 15th one, that's all. 13th one. 13th one, you are looking at why C is wrong, right? A and B are correct. Now in C, it is given the area under the curve is equal to the total rate at which heat is radiated. Heat is an approximate way of saying it is not heat, it is electromagnetic energy radiated per unit time. Although in Newton's law we put it is almost equal to heat. It is almost equal, but it is not. That's not the statement theoretically. It is electromagnetic energy. So 13C is not fully correct. Is that okay?
Sir,
The 11th one.
Fully correct.
Sir, but everywhere we have taken rate of radiation to be the amount of heat being radiated.
That is for almost, that's why Newton's law of cooling is an approximate formula.
Sir,
Newton's law of
how
cooling is an
calculate-
approximation. Okay? You
So
might
how
take
will
it, but
we-
that's an approximation. So this statement is not a correct statement. Yeah. What are you saying?
Sir, how will we make out where to take the approximation and where not to? Because in the 13
While
one,
solving a question, you do take an approximation, but you know that you are taking an approximation. But when I'm talking about a statement's correctness or not, then you be exact. Okay.
So 13th and 15th one both have like similar problem because 15th B can't. You said we neglect it at 0 and very high wavelength.
What?
In 15th question you said the graphs can meet because we neglect that intensity part in the 0 wavelength nearing 0 and nearing infinity.
We are not neglecting in the sense, yes, while calculating you have to check what is the while calculating you make the approximations here and there, but when a statement is made, that statement has to be precise. You understand that, that's all. 11th one. Now you will notice that again I am using that while calculating it, I am using it. The ratio of the heat losses. And sometimes the questioner may not say so. So you have to assume that, okay, under these conditions is what is being talked about. So we start with the same statement, minus ms dt by dt equals epsilon sigma a t power 4 minus ts power 4. Although this is electromagnetic energy generated per unit time, I'm equating it to the rate of loss of heat. Okay, I'll justify it by saying again that most of the electromagnetic energy will be heat, therefore I'm putting it. Okay, so this will be again valid for practical, more or less what we are happening in everyday world. But if you're talking about very high temperatures, 10,000 degrees centigrade, etc., it may not be valid. So that you have to understand that this is the context. So here, you can notice that this dt by dt is the rate of cooling. On one side, this mass is density into 4 by 3 pi r cube. This area is 4 pi r square. Other things remaining same, dt by dt is proportional to 1 by r. R cube, r square get cancelled 1 by r. So you will say that dt by dt of A upon dt by dt of B is equal to RB by RA. Although it's given that the mass of A is 4 times the mass of B, which means density into 4 by 3 pi RA cube equals 4 times density into 4 by 3 pi RB cube. So what is RA by RB cube? Is 4, which means RA by RB equals 2 power 2 by 3. This answer is 2 power 2 by 3, which is the C. This is RA by RB. This is the RB by RA is this. This is the C choice. Okay. Also, if you talk about the rate of loss of, now this is the rate of cooling. If you talk about rate of loss of heat, this whole thing is called rate of loss of heat. And rate of loss of heat dq by dt of A and dq by dt of B. Now that will be the whole thing is proportional to r square. So that will be equal to RA by RB the whole square. RA by RB is 2 power 2 by 3. The whole square will be 2 power 4 by 3. This is your A choice. Yeah, is that okay? The 10th one. This idea, this is an important idea which is going to come up quite a lot of times. Rather than the 10th one, let me do the 4th one because that is also based on the same idea. 4th question, if I say the same thing, it is given that the radius of Q is 3 times the radius of P. You are being asked what is dq by dt of P upon dq by dt of Q. So the inverse ratio is there, so that will be equal to RQ by RP equals 3. That's your answer for the 4th one. Yeah, is that okay? The 10th one, the rate of emission of radiation is 270 C. E is proportional to T power 4. So E at 273 degrees centigrade will be, and E at 0 degrees centigrade, if you take it, this will be 273 plus 273 power 4, and this will be 273 power 4. So what is that? This is 2 power 4. You get your answer. 7th one. Alright. 10th one is fine. This is in degrees centigrade. You should take it in Kelvin because it is absolute power, temperature power 4. Is that fine? The 7th one. The intensity of radiation emitted by sun has its maximum value at a wavelength of 510 nanometer. See, for the lambda sun and lambda naught star, so this is 510 nanometer and this is 350 nanometer. If these stars behave like black bodies, what is the ratio of the surface temperature? See, lambda sun T sun will be equal to lambda ns T ns. Wien's displacement law, lambda mt is constant. So what do you want to find out? You want to find the ratio of surface temperature of T sun to that of T naught star. That will be equal to lambda naught star by lambda sun. So lambda naught star is 350 by 510. So just check out this answer. I think that should be 0.69. The 5th one. See, the rate of cooling is proportional to the difference of temperature. Or in this case it will be rate of heating because the ice is getting the heat. So usually in Newton's law of cooling, the body is hot and the surrounding is cold. This is just the reverse of it. It doesn't make a difference. So we can simply say that the difference of temperature will be equal to K delta T. Now with the passage of time, will the ice heat up or cool down? Ice will heat up naturally. So your C cannot be the answer straight away. With time, C is wrong. Now, the slope of the graph d delta t by dt also is dt by dt. See, because d delta t is dt minus ts by dt, and that is equal to this. So will the slope become less or more with time? As time passes, this difference of temperature between the ice and the room will become less. So this will become less. So as it becomes less means temperature versus time graph, will it be like this or like this? Here the slope is becoming less, here the slope is becoming more. So it can't be like this, it has to be like this. So that rules out A. Alright, now see, something like this is what you have in B, and B seems to have two graphs because see, this K contains, what is this K? This is epsilon sigma A 4 Ts cube by ms. Initially the body is ice and later on it becomes water. So this K value changes. Other things is more or less same. So K value will change. So you will have two aspects of the curve. Then again the curve starts. The 4th one, there are too many curves there, so it's going something like this. So 4th one is not valid. Although it would have been better if at 0 degrees centigrade there was some time where it should have been like this.
So that's why we have marked D.
I get that. The closest answer I feel here is C. If you think it is a straight line, you can take D also because but that curve doesn't look proper. Okay? So physics wise I'm justifying that.
Doesn't make sense.
3rd question is exactly like 7th questions. Can I leave it?
The second question.
No, I'm talking about 3rd question is like 7th question. Is it fine? 3rd is 7th. So I'm going to the 2nd question. 2nd question. See, suppose this is the sun. The sun has some emissive power, energy emitted per unit time. Now which way is it emitting energy? It is emitting energy in all directions spherically. This energy will go in all directions. So at a distance d, what is the energy received per unit area? Because this energy will be distributed in a surface area of 4 pi r square. Instead of r I am putting d here. This is the energy received per unit area, per unit time. And if you talk want about power received, we should talk about what is the area available here. Suppose you're talking about a certain area delta A here. We multiply this by delta A. Is that okay? Energy emitted is in all directions. So at any time, whatever power is emitted, that is spread out in that area 4 pi r square. So per unit area, this is the energy per unit time into that area whatever you're receiving. This is the power received. Now what is your emissive power? Emissive power is epsilon sigma area of the sun T power 4. Now what are you doing in this question? You're doubling the temperature and doubling the distance. If you double the temperature, the entire thing goes up by 2 power 4. If you double the distance, the entire thing goes down by 2 square. So this whole ratio is 2 square. So that will be 4p, which is your required answer. Yeah, is that okay?